Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome to the United Stand. It's the Friday night show. We're going to be talking. I've got such a big list here. We've got protest reaction. We're going to have a fan forum call-in a little bit. We've got news about Romano spoken about the lack of money that Solskjaer will actually have this summer, which is quite surprising. And James Cooper saying that as well. I don't think many people will have picked up on this story tonight. James Cooper, Fabrizio Romano, talking about a lack of money after the Glazers thing. They won't like that. Also, talks for Mata. Lee Grant, I've got his name right for once. We're talking about giving them new contracts. The goalkeeper situation's not been resolved yet, and interesting insights on the centre-back and Paul Pogba. But I'm joined by Jordan as well. Jordan, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here on a Friday night with you, Mark.
Yeah. Well, it's an action-packed show tonight as well. We've got lots and lots going on, and as many people, I was just talking about this before we went live as well. Before we get into the show, I know everybody loves this on a Friday night, but we are sponsored by Manscaped, and I can tell you the great thing about the Manscaped integration tonight is that I don't have to tell you about 20% off, even though you do get 20% off, because if you click the link in the video description, it automatically takes 20% off. And with Father's Day just around the corner, more than a world-class trimmer for his balls. You heard that right. The lawnmower 3. What is that they've asked me to say there? Father's Day's around the corner. I suppose your wife could buy it for you. I suppose I've not read that well, have I there, Jordan? They've thrown me under the bus there. Anyway, trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. Just use that line, Manscaped. It works so much better. I'm blushing myself. The Lawnmower 3.0 from Manscaped is the best body hair trimmer on the market. Manscaped offers precision engineering tools for your family jewels, and you can get 20% off plus free shipping by clicking the link in the video description. We've all had those close encounters when trying to make our areas below our waist look as handsome as the areas above, and that is why the Manscaped engineering team have perfected the greatest ball hair trimmer now ever created. You can shave your most important possessions with no fear of injury. 90-minute battery life, waterproof technology, so you can use them in the shower, and even a little LED light as well. It's super easy to charge and even comes with a USB charger, so you can show it off in your bathroom if you want. And you get 20% off plus free shipping when you click the link in the channel description. And another great thing about Manscaped is whenever you purchase, it's made at manscaped.com. They make a contribution to the Testicular Cancer Society to bring awareness to testicular cancer, which is very, very good. So head over to the link in the video description. That's the ball trimmer, but I always shout this one out, Jordan. And I don't know how old you are, but this is a lifesaver for me. The nasal trimmer. Really good. And I've been doing this for weeks now, and it's still not run out. Even though it comes with a charger. So links in the video description. Fantastic quality products, 20% off on that. Let's get on with the show, because you know what? I've never had any problem doing one of those before, but it's a lot harder when you've got a guest. Yeah, there we go. And we're not doing a live demo. But look, I want to get into this show. There's lots to talk about. I know we want to talk about the fan forum. We're going to be doing a call-in as well. Links in the video description for our Discord. In about 20 minutes' time, we're going to be taking your calls, as promised. So if you're on Discord, the link's in the video description to get an invite into there. And Paul Robinson's going to be coming on, but he'll also be picking out people to come on the show. So we'll get on with that in a minute. But I want to talk to you about this, Jordan. The Glazer forum happened this afternoon. I'm sure you've got some thoughts on that. But what people might not have realised is that Ollie's had a bit of a transfer setback, and we've had a bit of a transfer setback, because this whole Glazer chat seems to have put the fire out of the Glazer out movement. But James Cooper was talking on Sky Sports and said things like, Ollie will have to raise funds to buy players. Yep. There won't be loads of money. And Fabrizio Romano has said, on the same evening, on a podcast, Fabrizio Romano has said that Manchester United will spend most of their money on an attacker and then see what they've got left to buy other players. That, to me, doesn't sound like major investment coming this summer. That, to me, sounds like we'll buy Sancho this summer because we didn't do it last summer, and then there's not a lot else left. And that's coming from Fabrizio Romano and James Cooper. So all this positivity about massive investment this summer, if you're actually keeping your ear to the ground, that's a little bit worrying coming from people like James Cooper and Fabrizio Romano.
Yeah, definitely sounds like there's some truth in it. I think, we didn't expect there to be massive money to spend. And for me, if we can spend the money that we get given on Sancho, but if we can sell a lot of the dead wood around the squad and that money does go to Ollie, and we are able to do the deals to get some of these players out the doors, and we can fill some of the other holes, then it isn't as much of a blow. But yeah, look, they're never really going to spend huge sums. We know their limitations. He's got to move the deadwood on. Henderson, there's money there. Lingard, there's money there. Diallo, there's money. then, you look at some of the other fringe players that haven't really played. Can we move some of them on as well and free up some funds? So we could get a little bit of a war chest going. But the key is that he is allowed to spend the money that he brings in. I think that's the key.
And when Jordan said Diallo, we're not saying. I think he meant Delo, not
Diallo. Sorry,
yeah, we're not
Diallo.
We're not. I knew it, but the live comments will be going, "What Diallo? He's selling Diallo already." YUFC says first time in years to speak to the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Goldbridge, and the call queuing is full. Just my luck. Oh well. Hey, there'll be plenty more chances. Don't worry about that. Wait. But interestingly, you talk about that there. What was your thoughts on the Glazer meeting today? Because I think it's funny. I spoke to Ian Sterling from Manchester United Supporters Trust. I'm sure he won't mind me saying it, and he basically reiterated what I'd said this afternoon, that there's potential positivity in the meeting with Joel Glazer, but of course the detail is what's really going to be important. And the fear is from Manchester United Supporters Trust, and they've said it in their statement as well, is that if it's true fan ownership and shares where it's like 50% and they can vote on it, that's something that no club's ever done before. But if it's just like 10-15% and you can vote but you get voted down by the owners, it is no change. What is your thoughts on the Glazers? Because and then what's been said, because you've said it there, it looks like that they may not be spending that much money, and it all could be a bit of a con job.
Yeah, to be honest, my message back to the Glazers is less talk and more action, because a lot of what they said today is things that they should be doing anyway. When they're talking about maintaining the stadium and the training facilities, well, that's their job. They own us. So don't brag about things. I don't pat the postman on the back for delivering a letter, because that's what he's supposed to do. So I want to see, more action. And again, a lot of what they said, there's no measurables on it, Mark. When they're talking about investment in the squad, what is investment? Like you said, we're hearing now that there isn't much money. So I'd rather them come out and say, we vow to spend $500 million over the next 3 to 4 years or whatnot. Put a measure on it, so then we can hold them and there's some accountability. Very similar, in a different analogy, to sort of the whole man market thing. There's no accountability, and that's exactly the type of statements that these guys have come up with. We've got them on the run now, because if what happened with the game being called off and the pressure from the sponsors on their back, they wouldn't have done this. They can say that they were discussing it and planning it for months. They wouldn't have done this. If people wouldn't have kicked up a fuss to the whole Super League, they wouldn't have done this. So why step off the gas now? Don't let them sell us a false dream now. Let's go the whole hog. It's a similar thing to sort of taking a girl out on a date. If you think you can only buy her a starter and take her home, she's getting tomato soup and she's going home. But while we've got them on the run, let's get the main course, let's get dessert, and let's get the taxi home.
I like the analogies. I like Jordan. We've not done a show together like this before, and yeah, I like a good analogy. But I think what I like about what you said there the most is that, where's the accountability? These are bean counters, the Glazers. They know every pound they've spent in the last 16 million, every pound they've saved. Everything they've said today is vague again. It's like the letter he did a couple of weeks ago. It's all vague. Like, why can't he say over the next 3 years we're going to spend 500 million quid? Why can't they say that the share ownership we're looking at is giving you 50%? Because ultimately, it's like you say, the foot's on the neck. And it feels like we've took the foot off the neck today, because he never would have been in that meeting today, like you said, if it wasn't for the European Super League. But maybe people are going to want to call about that a little bit later. Flavio says, Mark, if we keep Pogba and Mata doesn't leave and we bring a CDM, do you think we should sell Fred or McTominay to avoid a too crowded midfield? I'm going to talk about that now. Mark, these contracts really confuse me. What does this mean for investment or bench positions for our youth, says Tom O'Duff. Well, 2 questions there. Very topical, Jordan. Also, Sky Sports with the James Cooper article, they mentioned that Manchester United are in discussions to give new contracts to Juan Mata and Lee Grant. Now, I couldn't give a toss. I get Lee Grant's name wrong. So, I mean, with all due respect to Lee Grant, I don't know whether you watch the show, and I don't really care, because I think it's great to have a third choice keeper, but let's be honest, your job is to, keep the other 2 goalkeepers company. You're never going to play any games unless we're playing Rochdale in some bloody useless second leg where we're 10-0 up, So I've got no problem about Lee Grant getting a new deal. But Juan Mata. And Sean Turner says, I couldn't care less what Joel said. We've had years of their rubbish. I'd rather us sign no one and leave them. And analogies for the win, says Desmond Shaw. Where do you sit on, Mata getting a new contract? 140 grand a week, I think he's on at the moment.
Yeah, absolute madness. Let the man live. Let him go. Let him play football. He can still do a job. I think he'd be more suited maybe going out to Italy where the game's a little bit slower and, you can play that clever pass, or maybe just semi-retired and go back home. Like, there's no point in offering him a new contract. We need to free up that budget on the wage bill each week in order to bring someone else in that's going to offer us something. You look at over the course of the season, we've played a lot of games and Mata hasn't really had a role. And in terms of the goalkeeper, how many more goalkeepers do we need? I mean, Tom Heaton's just come in. We're offering Lee Grant a contract. Like, I don't know any other club that has got as many goalkeepers as us. Like madness.
Yeah,
and they can't take penalties.
Yeah, I mean, on the Mata situation, I just find it confusing because, I mean, anybody who watches the show will know if they've watched it for a long period of time. I remember when Mata played on the opening game, or one of the opening games of the season, and I'll let the chat tell me when, he played right wing against Ben Chilwell, and Ben Chilwell was playing for Leicester, and it was a good year or two before he left to go to Chelsea. So it must be it must be 3 years ago this August. And I said after that game, he is finished at this level. And yet 3 years later, we're on about giving him another contract. I love Juan Mata, but this is Manchester United Football Club. Pep Guardiola across the city is sending Aguero to Barcelona at 32. We're looking at giving Juan Mata a new contract at 33 when he's been finished for over 2 years. So I just don't get it. And this is what worries me when we talk about this meeting with the Glazer and investment. Investment could be 10 million, it could be 15 million, it could be 150 million. It worries, but this is not the Glazers. This worries me that because Mata is not a cheap option. 140k a week is a lot of wages, so it does worry me. And again, this isn't really about the Glazers. This is about Ollie, I think, in this case.
Yeah, they must. If Ollie had some faith in Mata, surely there's been games this season where he's looked at and thought, it's worth us try using him, and he hasn't. So why then go and offer another contract to him? It is crazy. It is a Mata. It is an Ollie decision. But I do think it's kind of a bit like bringing Darren Fletcher in, the Carrick thing. He likes certain characters around him, and I feel like he looks at Mata and he sees that kind of character.
Yeah, well, somebody just said it there. I think it was Niall in the chat. He said that this is just an example of what the problem is at Manchester United from top to bottom, that it's mates rates. Oh, I've known Mata for years. He's a nice lad. And he is. Yeah. Oh, maybe he can do a bit of coaching for us. I tell you what, 140 grand a week to do a bit of coaching. I tell you what, Michael Carrick won't be on that as first team coach. So, it's mates rates needs to stop, or Mata rates as we may maybe call it there. But just some other news as well. Cristiano Ronaldo. I didn't really want to have a show about this, but I did want to bring it into a show. Manchester Evening News saying today, highly unlikely that anything happens with Cristiano Ronaldo. There's a lot of talk about it, especially from Italy. But Ronaldo, highly unlikely to be coming back to Manchester United. Would you like Ronaldo back at the club? Is that a deal that United, could potentially look at as a swap deal for Paul Pogba? Would you like that to happen?
Yeah, do you know what? I would love to see him back in United shirt, but I just really don't think it's the right thing to do. I don't want him to come back and potentially ruin his legacy. He's one of our greats, someone that we've looked at, and one of the very few players that we've able to sell and has gone on to great things. He comes back. He has a shocker because the Premier League is a lot a lot stronger than the Italian league, and he just can't deliver, and it just takes the shine off the legacy that he has with us. So I really, really don't want to see him come back, Mark.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people in the chat there saying that the ship has sailed and that. I've said before, I'm a romantic. I would take Ronaldo back, but it worries me that this statement from Romano that I mentioned at the start, that United will spend their money on the attackers and then if there's anything left, they'll look at other positions. With regards to, I know we've spoken before about players. What do you think United are going to do this summer based on where we are at the moment?
I really don't think we're going to do as much as people think we're going to do. They've got an opportunity now, the owners, to really make a statement of intent and help Ollie kick on and turn that second place into a real title challenge for next season. But I really think we're going to get Sancho because that's the signing that's going to help sell shirts and appease fans and keep the sponsors happy because, he's a pretty boy, he's the pin-up boy, he's English. So I think we will get Sancho. The deal's dragged on since last year, so they definitely are interested. The price has dropped now, so it just makes it a little bit more appealing. And I think at best then we'll get one other player, which potentially will be some support for Wan-Bissaka, hopefully Trippier.
It's interesting, actually. We're just talking about Ronaldo, and someone in the live comments did draw my attention to something that I've just verified on Twitter. So Duncan Castles is a little bit hit and miss. I mean, he's not terrible. Sometimes he's right. He's saying that Juventus have offered Ronaldo to Manchester United. United have said yes, but want to wait and see what happens in the window first. So Manchester Evening News saying absolutely not, highly unlikely. And yet another story is saying that United have been offered him. I mean, I know Juventus want to get rid of him, but you know, it's interesting. And I did want to bring Paul Pogba in, actually, because apparently United are not willing to let... There's no conversation with Paul Pogba and Mino Raiola about a new contract. And that might be because Man United, Paul Pogba and Mino Raiola don't want to do that, which is what they said at Christmas. But United will not let Pogba go for 20, 30 million. They want big money for him. That, to me, Jordan, sounds a little bit like it's a hypocritical thing. Because if they're not sitting down to sign a new contract and United are saying we're not going to take 30 million, in a year's time, he's walking out the door for nothing.
Yeah, do you know that's Riola's model. What's the goalkeeper from Italy with the name as long as the Welsh train station?
Donnarumma.
I can't pronounce.
Yeah, Donnarumma.
That's the hammer. That's the model. Run your contract down, and then you're free to go wherever you want to go. And it wouldn't surprise me if this has been part of an 18-month, 2-year plan where they've looked at it. They're desperate for that Real Madrid move. Real Madrid are absolutely brassic, and they've looked at it and gone, do you know what? 18 months, run your clock down, and we'll be able to offer you a contract and come on board. United are not going to get big money for him. That's gone now. The power and the ball is in Pogba's court now. So we've got to take whatever we can take. If we can take 25, 30 million and move him on and bring a player that's going to be committed and the whole circus surrounding Pogba moves on, then I'm sorry, but that's what we got to do. We got to take it.
It is. You know what it is? It's like, as analogies go... I can't even do analogies. When Jordan's been on fire, I can't do an analogy. But it is a little bit, the Pogba situation, it's a little bit like, you know, and we've all been there, younger siblings or older siblings, you've got your bag of sweets and your brother or sister, they want one of your sweets and you're full up from your sweets, but instead of letting them have the sweet, because, you know, they want one, you eat it yourself and then you end up throwing up. And United are a little bit like that at the moment with Pogba. They know he wants to go and they know somebody wants him, but they don't want to give it up. They'd rather throw up all over themselves than actually do the logical thing. And I just think that with 30 million quid, we're not going to take 30 million like we've got any power. If Pogba sits there and says, I'm not signing a new contract, I'm going for free in a year, and then Juventus say, we'll give you 30 million now, and United go, no, we're not taking it, we'd rather have nothing. Oh, you'd rather have nothing than 30 million. It is terrible. And it was a weak analogy, Dan Smith, because I've been battered by Jordan so far tonight.
Mark,
go on.
Mark, would you go the other way and offer him the 400k?
I'm hoping that he won't take it. I mean, I know that sounds bad for United, but I mean, I've said this before, I don't know what you think. I think if you're Paul Pogba, you've been here for 4 years, they've never built a team around you, there's always issues in the team. Even if they bring Sancho in, is it a team to win a title with McFred behind Pogba? No, it's not. So there's always a hole in the team. And I think that with this situation, I don't want Pogba to go. I really like him, but I think if he signs a 400k contract, he's doing it for the money. And I like to think Pogba's a little bit more than that. I think he's got a career and he wants to win.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you look at that Sancho signing, Mark. Sancho is not going to bring the best out of Paul Pogba. Like you said, it's not going to happen. To get the best out of Paul Pogba, we need to get someone that can play alongside in that pivot, a proper CDM. Go and sign a world-class CDM, and then you're going to start seeing Pogba flex himself, hopefully consistently in more games. But signing Sancho is not going to bring the best out of him.
I'll tell you what, there was a very good comment there that you talk about holes. What about the coaching staff? It's not just the midfield. I said, you're right. You know, I think United, even if they buy Sancho, I still think we've got more holes than a hedgehog's lilo, because the reality is that we can't defend crosses, we can't create chances, we've got no midfield, and yeah, look, I think that Sancho's a fantastic player, but I don't think scoring goals was our problem last year. I think our problem was defence and not picking up the second ball. But no, I love Paul Pogba, and I just think that if we'd provided him the platform over the last 4 years, maybe he'd sign a new contract. If we went and bought a CDM, a centre, if we bought Varane, Rice and Sancho, he might say, look, I'll sign a contract. But if we don't do that, I don't think he should sign a contract. Simple as that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Looking at the coaching, you're right. There's more relegations on that bench than there are trophies won as management. And that is a massive concern. They've really got to highlight that area. Something I said the other night in the fan forum, Mark, is that for the first time ever at a club, people are actually going, oh, it's not the manager's fault, it's his coaches. But they're his coaches. He's put them there. He's made the decision to give Darren Fletcher a role and not bring someone else in with more experience. So that is on Ollie's head. So he can't look at it and go, oh, it's just the coaches, it's not my fault. And yeah, like I said, we really need to fill those holes before we look at Sancho. And unfortunately, I really don't think we're going to. All the talk is about this glamour signing of Sancho rather than looking at the more vital areas of CDM and centre-back.
I'm just literally going to read this out. It's on my notes. So from somebody I know who's very, very good, and they don't want to say it's from them. Trippier won't be sorted until after the Euros. Certain outlets are jumping the gun a little bit. So there you go. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, again, it's for a club that don't like spending money, the safe option is to get that deal done now. Pay what they want now, pre the tournament, because if he goes on as a worldie and starts whipping in balls and lots of assists, that price is going to go up and more clubs are going to be looking at him. Right now, it doesn't look like there's a lot of real strong competition for Trippier. So let's just get the deal done and put it to bed.
I like Trippier, but I think that makes a lot of sense. I said this afternoon. People think we're getting Sancho and Trippier before the Euros. They're both playing on Sunday. They've got literally probably 2 days. Southgate will let them leave that camp. We're playing on Sunday, the following Sunday. We ain't unveiling Trippier and we're not that club. So, yeah, I mean, look, I've just had that now. Euros, Trippier after the Euros, not before. So there you go. But I personally think they both. I don't think Sancho will hold the shirt up anyway. I've said this before. I think he will. Sancho will hold a shirt up and it'll be the new shirt. And we might do that. I can't remember if you remember yourself or anyone in the chat. We've done it before. They've announced it on the website. Deal's done pending a medical. Quite recently, I don't know whether it was Lindelof or someone like that. I definitely remember us doing it before, where you announce the deal, but you don't. It's not official. And I think that'll work with Sancho with the new kit coming out.
Yeah, definitely. They need to do something to shift some shirts. All the pressure they've had. He is that pin-up boy, like I said, that will definitely shift shirts. People who are talking about, not a penny more and whatnot, they're going to look at that and counteract it by putting the pin-up boy up, holding the new shirt, new sponsor, fresh start. And I think they will go for Sancho when the shirt's ready. Is it July? Beginning of July?
Yeah. Pinch of salt, because it's from Sunsport, but new deal for Mata. What the hell, says Danny Lockwood. Well, it could be true. Depends who's writing it, Danny. If it's Custis, I'd believe it. And then it must be an allergy night, because Amit says, even though we have fresh new veggies, if the chef coaches is crap, the food is terrible. And talking about food, too many mates, coaches are ruining the club. He's gone to town on that one, but I think I get with what you mean. What my thoughts are on Mata is that just shows you what's really going on at the club. You can have this situation whereby we're trying to build a title winning side, but if you're signing Juan Mata on a contract, that stinks to me of stupidity and saving money, even though you're not saving money because he's on 140 grand a week. I tell you, I don't want Matt. I know people will moan about this, and they'll say, you're being an arsehole, he's such a nice guy. But I'm sorry, Juan Mata's finished, and he's been finished for 2 years, and if we're keeping him as part of the squad, what really bothers me, Jordan, is that stops a new player coming in, but it also takes a spot on the bench that Hannibal won't get, that maybe Diallo won't get. I find this so infuriating, this mates rates crap at this football club. It's like bloody Portsmouth when they were managed by Harry Redknapp. It's bloody stupid. Old past players taking up spots.
Yeah, no, I agree. Very good point about the youth. It blocks that development of bringing players through if Mata sat there and never gets a kick. That's the crazy thing. All season, there must have been opportunities where Ollie's looked and thought, can I use him? Actually, no, he's not right. So just move him on. Let's bring new blood in. Let's freshen things up and keep it moving.
Right, Jordan, people are asking for the call-in show, which I did promise, so we've had to split it half and half today, but I really appreciate Jordan because he was meant to be on the whole show for me, but he did say, look, let's get that call-in in. We've not figured out the audio issue, so I can't keep Jordan on as well, which sounds stupid, but we just can't do it.
You pied me, mate. You dropped me on our first date.
You had some. I tell you what, though, you did all right. I'd probably swipe right or whatever it is if I saw you again. We'll see Good. Jordan again soon, but thanks for popping on, pal. Really appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. Okay, so let's do that, and let's do that. Okay, now this should, in theory, work. They won't be coming invisible. Don't worry about that. They'll be invisible. But we should be in a situation now where we can bring in our first caller, which will be... Paul, can you hear me?
Hi, mate. You're right.
I'm good, thanks. So, first caller back on the call-in. Great to have you back. And what is it you want to talk about, mate?
What is it I want to talk about? Well, it's been 14 months, Mark. So, if we go back to when Ollie got the job... I'm only joking.
Talk to me about the Glazers. A lot of people want to know about that first.
Do you know what? The Glazers is probably going to be a quick one because I don't think much has changed. I can't, for 16 years they've had no communications with the fans. And they've been dining off the table. They've been eating the good stuff. We've been providing them that with our money. And suddenly the money that we provide was threatened to be taken away. And they cave and start telling us exactly what we want to hear. It's difficult to digest. It's difficult to take on board, and it's difficult to trust them. Whatever they say, they have to earn the trust. Words aren't really going to take much effect, in my opinion.
I think you're absolutely spot on, and I think it's so funny that on the day the Glazers put this story out and some people think, oh, there might be some positivity there. They want to invest in the team. They want to invest in the stadium. They want to give shares to the club. But in the same statement, they're talking about debt is good, dividends are fine. And then you get James Cooper and Romano coming out saying, I haven't got much money. They'll get Sancho and then they haven't got a lot of money. And then on the same evening, we're giving someone like Juan Mata a new contract. That, to me, stinks of the fact that nothing has changed, like you say.
Also, the in-house hiring, that's a big one for me. Because the way I look at it, when they hire, they don't hire from outside because they don't want professional football people to come in and look at the club because they know for a fact the club isn't run like a football club.
Yeah. And
when people from the outside come in who know football, imagine Van der Sar comes in. He knows how Ajax is run. It's very streamlined. They've got one way of running the club. Whoever comes in as manager, if he comes into Manchester United and sees the disarray that we have, which we know we have, and obviously people who are in the know and have got contacts have also put it out there. He'll want to change things. He'll want to turn things into a more streamlined football club, which means that will cost money. He'll look at the stadium and say the facilities aren't good enough. That will cost money. Hiring Ferguson, Darren Fletcher, United for 7 years, and was hired by Ed because they went to the same university. Let's just keep the status quo. The status quo will be there forever as long as we keep internally hiring. That's a huge thing for me. All it is just keeping the business model intact so they can carry on making the money and spinning us the future and never delivering.
I think that's spot on because I think that, we saw that with Van Gaal. You do, like you say, you bring a Van der Sar in and he's gonna see what the problems are. Van Gaal said it. He said Man United compared to how Bayern Munich run is just chalk and cheese, and this is why they do recruit in-house. This is what I said this about 2 years ago. I said the thing that worries me about Ollie is he giving the job to Carrick and McKenna and Phelan because they're his mates and they're not going to expose how out of depth each of them are. If you brought in the world's best assistant coach, I wonder how long it would be before he went, this ain't. I'm not being the fall guy for this. I'm a good coach, but what's going on around me is shit. And it's almost like everyone's just got each other's back in a way.
Well, listen, we've got the Glazers who don't care about the club, who employed Ed, who bought the club, and helped them make a fortune, but has never worked in football before, who is going to be replaced by his mate who went to university with him, who's going to be looking after Darren Fletcher, who has never been in an executive position in any club before, but played for United, who's going to be in charge of Ollie, who's learning on the job, whose coaching staff is inexperienced and hired from either within or because he used to play with them. And that's our setup. I mean, everybody's either not football people or learning to be. And this is the biggest club in the world. How have we got into this situation? Because it's status quo.
Paul, I'm going to try and get a few more people in, but it's great to have you back involved. And with the call-ins, I know we'll be hearing a lot more from Paul. So great to have you back, pal.
Great to have the call-ins back, Mark. It's a really good show. I appreciate that, mate. And I'll speak to you in a bit.
Nice one, Paul. Okay, we'll pull somebody else in a minute, but I just want to catch up on the super chats. Glazers are pathological liars, just like my ex, says Vedant. Next contract is Matic, says Desmond Short. Oh, that's terrifying. That's terrifying, Desmond. Yeah, so Mata looks like he's getting a new contract. I love Juan Mata, but he's done. He's absolutely done. He's like an old pair of trainers that have got holes in. You can't go for a run in them. Your feet will get wet. Next contract, we've done that. Amit says, even though we have done that one, pinch of salt because it's from the sport. I think we should sign Tielemans, says Joe, if Pogba goes. Leicester have players in that position and they might want to look out. And Ian Carlton says, if there's grass on the pitch, get a Manscaped. There you go. Interesting. And Joe actually said Leicester have just signed Samari, so they might sell. What I found with the Glazers, own 75% of the club. The max I can see them let go is up to 55%. Don't see them dropping more than that, says Akshay. Mata is a playing coach, maybe, says Desmond. You can't have a player coach on 140k a week. You cannot do that. Right, let's pull in another caller, see what they've got to say. Loving having this back. Make sure you smash a like on the video. And if you want to get involved in our Discord, I have dropped the link in the video description. Let's see who we've got coming in next. Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. You?
I'm very, very good. What do you want to talk about, pal?
I just wanted to talk about McTominay and Fred. Obviously, they're one of the main issues with Man United at the moment. But I just wanted to say that, is it impossible that they can win a title? Because I know there's a lot of hatred towards them too. But if they were used in the right way, I think they could win a title if the centre-back pairing was strong enough on its own.
Well, you're talking to the wrong person. You might have to try and convince me on this, because I personally don't. I think out of the 20 Premier League clubs, 17 have got a better midfield than McFred. But so look, I'd love to be proven wrong, but I am of the opinion that you cannot win a title with those two. So, what is it you see in them that has the potential to do that? Is it just better players around them, or do you think that they can get better?
Well, we've obviously seen what McTominay can do going forward when he's been given that lease, which he needs to be next season, definitely, if we are going to go with McTominay and Fred, which it kind of looks like we're going to have to next season. And I think it will cost Ollie his job if he keeps deploying them in the same way as he does this season. But if we get the Varane or the quick centre-back that we need alongside Maguire, then it definitely is possible, I think, if we keep using Fred basically just to give the ball to a red shirt as quickly as possible. Which is
a hard job for him to do sometimes, let's be honest.
It is. He does like to find the linesman sometimes, but we get there eventually. And McTominay, if he can keep making the runs past Bruno, and we know that Bruno, and if we do get the addition of Sancho, can definitely keep going forwards and can find McTominay in those areas, and he's got the aerial ability. We know this, and it's all we've really seen from him at the moment. But I think it needs to be used in that right way, and he could really be a proper player for Man United, and I could see him having a future. Whereas at the moment, it doesn't look like that.
I do think that somebody said, "Is this Scott McTominay's dad?" You sound way too young to be his dad. It might be his brother. And McTominay doesn't actually have a Scottish Scooby-Doo. He doesn't actually speak like he's Scottish. But I do agree with you on McTominay. A lot of people think I don't rate McTominay. I don't rate how he played last season. He was crap. But I do agree with you. I think that if McTominay's given a licence to get forward, he's a good box-to-box player. I don't know how good, but that's definitely his position. The problem is, I just don't believe that we have. I think this is why CDM is so important to me, because that 45 minutes that Matic played against Leicester when we had to play our reserves, he played really well, but he can't play 2 games in a week, let alone 90 minutes. So I think if we brought a specialist centre defensive midfielder in, that team would be helped massively. I'm just not convinced that we're going to do that. What's your thoughts actually on the transfer window? What business do you think we're going to do, and what were your thoughts on the Glazers today? Do you think that there is going to be any change, or do you think it's just all about putting out the Glazer out fire with lies?
Well, I'm very much in the camp as I'll believe it when I see it. Sort of, I can't trust them because I am sadly not old enough to remember Gil or anyone else running this club. So I've only ever really seen it as the Glazers, and there was obviously a period in my young life when we were doing well under them, but it was sort of we were doing well in spite of them instead of because of them. So it's difficult to see it. I obviously am going to try and be optimistic with it, but it's a shame that the Glazer out fire has gone so quickly, because I think we need it to be resurrected somehow, and I'd never wish anything bad on this football club ever. So I see it sort of like a win-win. If it happens, it's good, and if it doesn't happen, then hopefully we can revisit that and keep going and hopefully get him out this club.
It is an interesting one because I think, since that news came out when I was live at 4:00, I've done a bit of reading around, which I'm sure everybody else has. And there's people that are a little bit like yourself, where there's willingness there if the change is there, but what's the detail? And then there's other fans who are just like, no, I don't believe this. Can keep the protests going, screw the Glazers. So it's going to be very interesting how it works out, because I think the Glazers at the moment have taken the initiative back a little bit, and they are trying to just put the fires out, because I don't think there's going to be a massive spend this season. There was a super chat for you actually. Would you rather have McTominay going forward in the box-to-box role or Pogba or Van der Beek? Well, I suppose you'd pick Pogba over McTominay, but Van der Beek over McTominay as well?
I think that is difficult. I think we need to see more of what Van der Beek can do, because we've seen it in flashes. But I want to see him play 90 minutes against the top 6 side, and I want to see how he reacts to that, because I obviously do believe he will do well in that. But we need to see it, and we also need to see it with McTominay. So it's very difficult because we haven't seen either of them do it. So it's kind of just my imagination, really. And I do believe Van der Beek would do better in that role if he was given the opportunity, which sadly hasn't quite happened this season.
Well, mate, fantastic. What was your name, if you want to give it us?
It's TJ. So thank you very much for having me on, and hope we're all well. No,
TJ, thank you very much. Hopefully you will come on again for us, and great to get the call in back, and thanks for coming on, mate.
Thank you. All right, see ya.
See you later, mate. Right, let's see if we can pull somebody else in very, very quickly. Hello, mate. You're live on the United Stand. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mark. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Good.
Anything specific you wanted to talk about?
Basically just my opinion, the Rashford situation, and maybe if we have time, what I'd do for the summer transfer window.
What you're doing for this? No, sorry, what you do for this? I thought you were telling me what your summer plans were.
Yeah.
Go on then, Marcus Rashford, please. What? Yeah, good topic. Go on then, talk to me about Rashford. Go on.
My basic overall opinion would be on Rashford is, I don't think people know how to differentiate his outside of football feats, aka feeding children's in school, or even in football. People aren't. You know what I mean? I can't even talk today. But
relax.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Just take your time. It's fine.
But I think people need to know how to differentiate him outside of football and in football, because I think people are scared to kind of criticize him as a player, and I don't really get that, in my opinion. I think people should know that it's okay to criticize Marcus Rashford, because in my opinion he hasn't had a great season. He had a good first half of the season, but then he kind of dropped off. He's kind of inconsistent. He's been missing loose chances. I don't think that he's been as good. And I think if you were to sign Sancho, say he'd be the one that you'd have to drop, because he's playing with these injuries, which he shouldn't have. And I think 50% is Ollie and 50% is him, because he should be saying to himself, right, I'll rest for a month, then I'll get back and be better than ever. But Ollie should be saying as well to him, here, Marcus, you're not playing this week. You're injured. But he keeps playing him, running him into ground. And as I was saying, his prime's in 3 years, and people are treating him like he's this 18-year-old up-and-coming talent when he should be showing it on the pitch already. This decision-making that everyone's saying, it should already be in his football like knowledge. Like I think he should already be like implementing it into his game, and I don't think he's doing enough of it.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. The one thing I would say is I think you're absolutely spot on. The Europa League final, Marcus Rashford was dreadful. Everyone calls him dreadful. Some people go way too far. Obviously, nobody agrees with abuse, let alone racist abuse. It's disgusting. But he did, he didn't play well. And people who said he didn't play well were right. He comes out after the great game, has a great speech about, it hurts, this, that, and the other. And everyone's like, oh, leave him alone. And I think you're actually right. Football is an entertainment business, and if you're not playing well, you should, fans have got a right to say you're not playing well. The problem is, because of the off-field stuff, because he came out after the game and everyone resonated with it, everyone's like, oh, leave him alone. And look, as I said, I'm not going down the road of what he does off the pitch in relation to writing books and what he's done for schools, because it's fantastic. And I think that the racist abuse is obviously disgusting. But saying that he's a bad footballer and feeling guilty about it, people shouldn't feel guilty about it. I do think Rashford's... I personally think it's Solskjaer and Southgate's fault. I mean, it's blatantly obvious he's injured, and it's blatantly obvious he needs time off. And and when I used to play football, I would play injured because I loved the game, so I can't blame Rashford for that. Yeah. But I do think you're right. I think that, certain players... We see it with the press. Certain players get absolute pelters all the time, even when they don't play badly. And then certain players play badly consistently, and they never get it. And it just seems, I don't know. Maybe the media is a part of that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of factors towards it. It's his MBE, his like feeding children outside of the pitch. He's done a lot of things to earn respect off the pitch, but he also has to earn his respect on the pitch by being a good footballer. Like he isn't this 18-year-old up and coming talent where he's new to the game and he is a raw talent. He's been playing football consistently for nearly 4.5 years for United. And people need to know that and realise that he needs to be performing better at times. He has these runs where he either plays really, really well or plays really poor. And it's not an in-between, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like Rashford. I think he's a great player. I just don't think he's anywhere near fit. And I think until we get a fit Rashford, you can't really judge him. And we're not going to get a fit Rashford when Greenwood's pulling out with an injury we didn't even know. But Rashford, we know, is injured and he's going to the World Cup and he'll probably start games. What was the second thing you wanted to talk about very quickly? We'll try and
summer transfers. I just seen a yoke about Mata and Grant getting a new contract extension just there as well. And I don't know. I'm confused by this club, because if they're saying we want to move forward, if the Glazers are trying to bring forward this, we want to make progress and go back to the United we once were, why are we giving Mata and Grant new contracts? Like that, like surely if we sign Grant, like give Grant a new contract, first of all, he doesn't even play when he's third keeper. And then Romero's surely gone then. Second of all, that mean we're not going to sign... Does that mean, could that mean that we're not even going to sign Sancho because they're going to say, Mata's our right winger? Because, we played him right wing half time. He's not a right winger. I just don't think Mata has the stamina. He has the physicality. I don't even think he's good enough these days to play in the Prem, let alone even if he's fit enough. It just, when he plays full matches, you'd see in the 70th minute, he's huffing and puffing, and you have to sub him off every match. And I don't know why we're giving him a new contract. Even Pereira, nobody's mentioning Pereira. Pereira's coming back to United. What are we going to do with him? Nobody wants him. Lazio don't want him. He hasn't even played for them much this season. We have a number 10. He's not a good right winger. His finishing's poor. His delivery was poor for Lazio in the couple of games I've seen him. He's not a great player. We've all this deadwood in the club that we're never going to use, and I just don't know what we're going to do with them. I don't know how we're going to fit in more players when these players are going to have to play as well.
I think to be honest, I think that's the spot on point for me. It's a waste of money, and it's also, it blocks other people. I've said this for a long time. You're blocking off talent getting on the bench when you're keeping players who aren't good enough. But look, we better get someone else on. But fantastic call, really good points, mate. And please do come on again.
Thanks, Mark.
No worries, pal. Right, we're gonna get someone else on, but just a little bit of clarity there. I know we are a global fan base with a global. Sorry, I'm still on the call there. No, it's gone now. We're a global fan base with lots and lots of people who watch. Previous caller said he's seen this yolk. He's not talking about an egg. Yolk is Irish slang for thing. So when he said I've seen this yolk, he meant I've seen this thing about Mata and Grant. So he hadn't seen an egg. that he wanted to throw at Mata. Some people might want to throw an egg at Mata. He's a lovely guy. He does great charity work and a very, very good blog. I don't think we should be throwing eggs at him, but yeah, he's a very, 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 very good. I don't think that was Noah. A lot of people in the live chat saying, can we get Zayn on? We can't get Zayn on because he's not... He's not in the chat, so we can't get him on. I'm just waiting to see if we're going to get anybody else lined up to pull in, actually, because I've got nobody in the waiting queue at the moment, although I think there's a lot of people sort of waiting to be scouted. So let's go back to the live chat for a moment. Lovely to have the call in back. Please smash a like on the video if you're enjoying that. It wasn't Jay's son either. What's the point in Lee Grant? Like, seriously, it's like selling burgers at a vegan convention. It's fantastic. Well, yeah, just make a good point there. So Lee Grant, I thought was going. We know Tom Heaton's coming. So we're actually weakening ourselves because if you've got Henderson, De Gea and Grant this year, next year we're going to have maybe Henderson, Heaton and Grant. Well, that's worse than this year. But 2 years ago, we had De Gea, Romero and Grant. And now we've got Henderson, Heaton, and Grant. What's the connection here? Oh, we've got rid of the 2 foreign goalkeepers. I mean, I personally think De Gea and Romero was the best 2 goalkeeping pairing we ever had. Romero to me was the best backup goalkeeper in the league, and De Gea to me is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. So we've gone from De Gea and Romero to Heaton and Henderson. I mean, I think it's a step down. You know, anglifying the team. You know, Brexit FC. I don't get it. I don't get why we're doing that. The quality is a drop off, but you know, there's not a lot I can say about that. And again, I'm just massively confused about the Lee Grant thing. So don't seem to have anybody else in the call in the waiting room. So
thing is, I think. Oh, sorry, Mark's here.
Mark shouldn't be here. Mark's in the wrong one. I nearly dropped into a normal chat there. Let me just see if I can get any callers. I don't know if anyone's listening there. Oh, hang tight because we've got a big exclusive dropping. Trust me when I say it's 100% legit if you're still live in 5 minutes. I think we'll stay live for that. Apparently got some exclusive live news to come in a moment, so I will hang fire for that. Hello? Hello?
You all right, mate?
Where's all
me in for? I thought you were going to get Ruben.
Ruben's been on.
No, he hasn't. You've got TJ. Ruben hasn't been on yet.
No, I've had 2 on.
Unless you want to talk to me. If you want to talk to me, you can talk to me.
There's a lack of people coming through my stream, so I pulled you in.
Oh, okay, fine.
That's how I'm scraping the barrel. Have you got anything interesting you want to tell me?
Well, I went to the toilet. No. To be honest with you, I heard about this Ronaldo rumour earlier, and apparently, did you say about Duncan Castle said he might come back?
Yeah,
He's seriously thinking about it. No. Why? Why are we doing that? Honestly. 36, I know he's a fantastic talent. You know, we know he's the best in the world, but he's on the decline. And for me, it's got to be Jadon Sancho. And I think for what United need to do this summer, Sancho's not enough anyway. I think Beth and Jordan last night were talking about potentially Harry Kane. Harry Kane's your budget blown. I don't know. I just think with the transfer window coming up right now and how much Man United have probably got to spend, if you're spending big on Jadon Sancho, I'm not sure we can get Varane and anyone else with the money that United are going to spend. Can I see the Glazers spending a lot? Not really.
What's your thoughts on what the Glazers have said today? You know, well, what are your thoughts on it? Is it reason for hope, or is it just, you know, extinguishers on the fire to put it out and, you know, back to the normal in a year or two?
You know what? I was talking to Jay about this earlier because Jay rang me, and what he
Stop
said
showing off
kind of...
just because Jay rang you. Jay never rings me. Thanks for ruining my weekend.
Well, because you don't want to talk to anyone every time your phone's turned off. Joke. He was saying, well, like with the Glazers, he feels they're just papering over the cracks. After the complete debacle of the ESL, I think with the Glazers, they just want to bring favour back with the fans. So anything they're saying at the moment is just to kind of, you know, make the fans feel that they're doing something about it, atoning for all their errors that they've made. But as we've seen before, when they've made not mistakes like they've made with the ESL, nothing as extreme as that. unless they physically go through and go, do the things they say they're going to do, who's going to believe them? And if we have a poor summer, right, and we don't look what happened last year, we didn't get Jadon Sancho. It went on for ages and ages and ages, and in the end, we ended up with Palestri and Ahmad on the last day, and Cavani, which was a brilliant panic signing, but it just wasn't what we all expected. And I don't think the Glazers, despite whatever they say, until they pull through with that, no, I can't believe a word they're going to say. They might do what. Yeah. Honestly, it's just one of these things that really frustrates me at the moment, because I can just see it's all PR spin to appease the fans.
Daniel Luciano says, Drawty, you're a legend. I hope you're well, mate. We appreciate all the work you do. I tell you what, mate, you're really good, because you're talking, and I didn't hear you type that message out at all on that super chat, so I've got to give you some credit for that. Sakin says, Mark, I'm never going to trust the Glazers. If they really want to make changes, I would say appoint a CEO who's not from your inner circle. And we are playing Pogba on the left. Can Ronaldo no play on the left, says Desmond Shaw. I've got a story here to come in from Stretty News, which I've just been told is absolutely accurate, from somebody who gives information and is actually fantastic at what they do, who doesn't want me to shout them out, but they've said that this is 100% legit. Hold on to your seats with this one, people. Manchester United make contact for Spurs midfielder. Ahead of the summer transfer window, Manchester United are hopeful they can reinforce the central midfield position. Given the ongoing uncertainty surrounding current midfielder Paul Pogba, the Reds are keen to identify possible summer targets. Stretty News can exclusively reveal that one player on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's list is Tottenham midfielder Eric Dier. It's not Eric Dier. Some people might say it's worse. Some people might say it's better. It's Harry Winks. A close club source has confirmed that Red Devils recruitment team are big admirers of the 25-year-old Englishman. Having started just 9 games last season, Winks' time in London is currently up in the air, and United could look to capitalise. Talks at this stage are still in the infancy. United have already learned that Tottenham chairman is open to selling and would demand region of 25 million. Other targets include Villa's Jack Grealish. However, there is a general feeling that the club would be unable to sign the Aston Villa captain without at least one significant outgoing. So, Declan Rice, Ndidi, Zakaria, forget about it. It could be Harry Winks. What's your thoughts on that? While I'll throw you under the bus with this. I like Harry Winks. I do like Harry Winks. I just don't like where his career's gone in the last 18 months. But if you'd have asked me 18 months ago, I would have said. I mean, Desmond Short just said there it could work. I would have took Harry Winks 18 months ago. But at 25. And, he can't play for a shit Mourinho Spurs side. Maybe, but then again, you can't say if you don't play under Mourinho, you're shit. He didn't pick Martial or Rashford much, did he?
Yeah, but look at Mourinho's record at Tottenham. He basically ruined Dele Alli as well. So it's not just Harry Winks who suffered under Jose. We've seen it at Manchester United. Luke Shaw could have ended up basically leaving the club if it wasn't for.
I think Winks is better than Fred and McTominay, controversial or not. I think he knows how to play that role better than them two. In fact, he reminds me of he's probably the right sort. I don't think he's the answer, but he's probably the right sort of player that you stick in that sort of Jorginho role for Chelsea, and he just takes the ball off the back four, protects the back four, and feeds the ball forward. And that would be an improvement. But at United, you should be going higher than that. But he would be an improvement on Fred. I'm sorry to say, he would.
Yeah, he probably would be, but I think the problem is, even at 25 million for a player who's only played 9 games last season, like you said, first of all, you worry about his form. Second of all, again, even at 25 million, it might be a little bit too much for probably what he could bring to Manchester United right now. Then again, maybe 25 million on a player that's better than McFred is a pretty good bargain. 25, should be coming into his peak years. He was decent, but I remember seeing a couple of weeks ago with Spurs fans, even some Spurs fans were taking the mick out of him or saying, he's just not what he used to be when he comes on. To me,
he was on the verge of the England camp, not about 18 months ago.
Yeah, and this is the weird thing. It's like, how can you be that much in the frame and then all of a sudden fall apart? And again, the common denominator is Jose Mourinho. How many times have we seen players? Okay, big one, a couple of them actually. Was Salah under Mourinho, and then he got rid of him, and then he went over to Basel, and then ended up at Liverpool. Roma. Mourinho has a track record of bringing in, having players and not using them. So I can't even remember. Was De Bruyne under Mourinho, or was that beforehand? So, he has made big mistakes, and I don't think Harry Winks is a bad player. I really don't think he's a bad player. But is he the answer to the centre defensive midfield?
You need better.
I'd rather have Declan Rice every day of the week. Every day of the week.
Galactic Sabres UK says McWinks is our midfield. Watch out, Man City McWinks for PFA Team of the Year. We're heading to yet another strike crisis. We'd be dumb to rely on Cavani. Rashford isn't looking great. We need a finisher like Haaland and Kane, says Code Recall. Way better than McFred, says Desmond Short. And if we get Winks, I'm firmly Ollie out, says Vader is dead. My problem is, McFred becomes McWinks, becomes McWank if they don't do very well. So, I've just christened them there. But no, I'll be a hypocrite if I went, nah, I can't stand Winks, because I know for a fact, I do know for a fact. And Desmond says Mourinho breaks a lot of players, but I know for a fact, I have said a few times that I quite like Harry Winks. I haven't said it for the last year, but I definitely was saying it 18 months ago. So, if you're telling me nothing or Harry Winks, I'll take Harry Winks, but I definitely agree that we should be getting something better. We'll have to wait on that one, 100%. I've just been told that story about about Harry Winks is 100% legit. So we'll see about that. That's on the Straighty News website as well, that United are interested in Harry Winks from Spurs.
Mate, don't be surprised if United, sometimes they go for a bit of a left field. That Christopher Dier from Celtic, I know Newcastle are linked with him. Norwegian, 5 years ago, Ollie wanted him. He said he wants to leave Celtic this summer. 23, fast centre-back. Yeah, so to be honest with you, Dier might be, because I think you can get him for 6 million. He might be a cheap alternative. So that's another one. That kind of United might not do what we expect them to do this summer. They might actually box clever, which would be amazing, because that never normally happens.
And it might not even be box clever. Those people joining in a little bit late, we followed on from the fan forum where the Glazers are talking about investment and fan shares and this, that and the other. And I'm sure they thought they were going to end the day and the week in a positive sense. And then you get Romano on a podcast and James Cooper on Sky Sports saying, United aren't going to spend a lot of money unless they can sell players. Romano said they'll spend most of their money on an attacker, Jadon Sancho, and if they've got money left, they'll try and do other business. And James Cooper said they'll spend money on a big signing and then they'll have to sell to buy. Well, you have to do a lot of selling to buy a centre midfielder and a centre back of quality. So maybe looking at people like Harry Winks is because they know they've not got a lot of money. Although I agree with a lot of people in the live comments, Drawty, that if you're spending 25 million on Harry Winks, you only need another 10 million to get a Basuma, another 10, 15 million to get a Ruben Neves, Coop Minas from AZ Alkmaar.
I'd take Ruben Neves every single day.
These players aren't going to cost a lot of money. There's a lot of decent Rice alternatives for under 40 million.
Well, there's a couple of players out of contract as well at the moment, some big name players as well. So, I think that's the way the market's going at the moment. So I think even if United did spend 80 million on Jadon Sancho, for example, not saying they should do this, but say someone like Christopher Dier for 6 million, that's only 6 million. You've got a centre-back, 23. Ollie knows him already, Norwegian link. As you spoke about as well, Harry Winks, 25 million. So really, if you put those three together, that's not a great summer, by the way. I'm not saying, yes, go buy Sancho, Winks and Dier, but that's 106 million. Whereas if you got Varane, Declan Rice and Sancho, well, you're talking 150 upwards. And Harry Kane, let's not forget, Daniel Levy wants about 150 million. So if United want to bring in and strengthen 3 positions, they've either got to sell, like you said. Well, who are they going to sell? Jesse Lingard at West Ham. How much are we going to get for Lingard? 30 million, maybe 40, if we're lucky. I think very lucky with 40 if we got. We are terrible at selling players as well. And Lingard is 28, and I don't think you're going to get big bucks for Lingard, even if he is in fantastic form. So then you're looking at Pogba. Even then, Pogba is going to be in the last year of his contract. Is it this year or next year?
Next year. This year, yeah.
Right, so therefore his price is already in half. United have got to worry about that as well, because if he doesn't re-sign and if he ends the contract, well, he goes for free. So, this summer is going to be very, very interesting to see if Manchester United have actually got any money to spend or if they're going to sell anyone. I don't know if there's anyone of value apart from Paul Pogba that they would be willing to sell. So, we'll see.
We've got someone else in the waiting room now, and I think your dinner's ready because you keep pinging. Your microwave's pinging.
Oh, damn it. Sorry. I forgot that was on.
All right, mate. I'll speak to you in a bit. Thanks for filling in.
In a bit.
Ta-da.
Bye.
Okay, let me pull him off. Oof, he would like that. Right, let's go. Hello, can you hear me? You're live on the United Stand. Hello, hello, hello. God, it's like being back on the street.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, mate. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. Anything you wanted to talk about?
Well, I wanted to talk about the Glazers and how I don't believe anything that came out of that fan forum.
Okay.
Like, I am firmly Glazers out because, it's been 16 years of terrible, terrible running of this football club. Like, the club has been allowed to rot. Our standards have been allowed to fall so far. And, business, recruitment, it's just been terrible. And I think for me, the pinnacle of, their run here at United was the whole UEFA Super League thing. I couldn't believe that they wanted to do that, especially when they called fans like you who have been watching and supporting United for a very long time, when they called you guys legacy fans. That I found that to be one of the most ridiculous things.
Disgusting.
Disgusting. It was
baby.
Disgusting. Yeah, because these so-called legacy fans, air quotes, are the reason why Manchester United is still relevant. Without fans, football is nothing. That's what they've been saying all these years. Football is nothing without the fans, as we've seen since last year with this COVID pandemic. But yeah, it's just been. It was a very depressing time, and I'm just, tired of them. I don't believe anything that they're going to say, that they can say, because, like you said in the afternoon show, 16 years too late. They should have done something like this the moment it came in, because it's too little, too late.
So I suppose the most interesting thing about that is that if you don't believe them. Do you not believe that we'll spend money this summer, or do you think that they will spend money to just sort of like pull the wool over the fans' eyes? What are you expecting in the summer?
I think they're gonna spend money because they have to. They've put themselves in a very bad situation with the whole Super League thing. I don't believe we're gonna get all these first choice targets, basically the same cycle that Moyes went through, that Van Gaal went through, that Jose went through. Maybe they will this time because, like you said, they've been rocked by the protests. They're probably scared of what we can do because they've actually seen what fans can do. It's mad. But yeah, I think we'll spend money. I just hope it's spent in the right way. Also, I hope that fans all around the world, because I'm not a UK fan. I'm not from the UK. I'm from Malawi in Africa. I've been watching United for like the past 4 or 5 years. I don't believe that just because they sign a marquee signing, the heat should go off them. I don't believe that. It should stay on them. And I'm kind of sad that the Glazer out movement is going to die out because, fan forums come out today. Must is saying that they're cautiously optimistic. So feels like the flame's going out, Mark. It's kind of saddening.
It does, and the flame is going out on this show, so I was glad that we fitted you in at the end, mate. But thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Mark, and you have a good night, a good weekend.
You too as well, mate. Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
There was someone in the waiting queue. I just wanted to get him on because that's the way I am. It's about fan opinion. It's about different fans from all over the world. So it's nice to get that point made at the end. If you want to win a league at present, says Santosh, Ronaldo is perfect signing young players who may perform in better 3 years. This philosophy is not working now. It's almost a decade without a major trophy. Good point. And with what the Glazers are promising with spending stadium, women's football pitches, etc., I call bullshit, says Desmond Shaw. And I think in summary, that is correct. It is. I veer on the side of bullshit, which is what people would say for the last 5 years in relation to my presenting style. I can deal with that, but no, I think that I do call bullshit. I think I'm really grateful for Romano saying what he said today, and James Cooper as well. Where's this money coming from? Effectively, United haven't got loads of money. They're not going to spend loads of money, and yet the Glazers are allowed to come. Joel Glazer comes on a fan forum and says we will invest in the team. By how much? By how much are you going to invest in this team? I could invest in, I could knock the neighbour's fence down playing football tomorrow with a Goldbridge Thunderbolt. And when I go round to get my ball back, I could say I will invest in that fence that I've knocked down. And when they come down round with the quote for 150 quid, I'll say there's a fiver. That's investment in the fence. It's not much investment, but it's investment in the fence. The shares. We're going to give fans some shares. Are you going to give us half the club, or are you just going to give us 5%, which won't do anything? Oh, you still think dividends are fine? Well, that's another 100 million coming out of the club every few years. You think the debt's fine? Great, that's great. So, I call bullshit. I do call bullshit on the Glazers, I'm afraid. And they might not like that, but that's their problem. As everybody said today, even the people on the fan forum, the devil's in the detail. And at the moment, after 16 years of this, I'm sorry, I don't trust you. That previous caller was spot on. The European Super League was a disgrace. A disgrace. And if you could have got away with it, you would have done it. That's why you tried to do it. To sit there and go, oh, it was an accident. It's not an accident. It's not an accident. Is it an accident when you think you're above United fans and basically you're above us shitting on us? Is that an accident? No. You forced it out. You forced it out. It didn't slip out. And now you want to say sorry because you've been caught. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not going to believe you. I don't trust you. Doesn't mean that they can't be trusted again, but they have to deliver. And for me, one of the big things is delivering £150 million net of spend this summer on players. A centre-back, a CDM and a right winger. That's step one. The shares need to be half. And the infrastructure at the club needs to be better, quicker. And if they don't, they won't deliver those things. They won't deliver those things. So I call bullshit. More debt that they're going to not pay, says Desmond Shaw. Exactly. They've never paid the debt off in 16 years and they think it's fine. I just feel that the tone of those notes, and I wasn't in the meeting, so I'm totally speculating here and I might be very unfair, but the tone of the notes from the bullet point come across as they're doing us a favour. Look at what we're going to do for you. I'm sorry, again, where a few weeks ago you were absolutely crapping yourself at the protest. I think the power needs to come back to the fans. And it shouldn't be about them offering us things. It should be us telling them what we're getting. Otherwise, this is going to get a lot worse. And it just feels like they've offered up some stuff, but they haven't given any detail. And then we're going to have to wait more time while the fire goes out. And I think, get on with it. Why are they being given the time anyway? It's already been a few weeks since the letter from Joel. Now it's been his meeting and we still don't know what's going on. How many more weeks are we going to give them? Why are we giving them the time? They've had 16 years. Why are these businessmen who know to the penny how much money they've got in their bloody bank accounts can't come up with any details of what it is they're offering? And that's where I get worried and lack trust. Dave on a stick says, Harry Glazers, we will buy big players this transfer window. In French accent, 4 hours later, Harry winks, priority. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. Fantastic to have the call in back. Big up to Jordan at the start. Really enjoyed that as well. Hope you've enjoyed the show. It's been a while since we've done this sort of thing, so I've really enjoyed it and we're going to do a lot more of it over the summer. So make sure you give us a follow on the Discord group. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Back in the morning for the morning show. Oh, Desmond says, my wife is going to be pissed with all the super chats. Desmond, I can't help you with that. I can't help you with your wife. Thanks for watching.